Good morning, welcome back to the channel. This is part 2 of the consumer unit change. Today we're going to be fitting the Hager. It's a SPD board, so we've got all the miniature RCBOs that are going to go in. So that's going to be all the way along there. So the video I did yesterday was the testing of all these boards. There is some issues with it which we're going to be rectifying at a later date, but it's been discussed with the client that we're going to fit that board because there's no RCD protection on any of the sockets that are being used outside. So we're going to fit that and then start rattling through all the remedial work. So if you have already subscribed to the channel, I do massively appreciate it. Thank you very much. And if you haven't, hit the link in the corner and subscribe and turn your notifications on. Yeah, this is, like I say, what we're going to do. Going to get set up. I'll show you how I go about it. Obviously, the tools I mentioned in the previous video that we're going to use today. We will be using the torque screwdriver today, which we didn't use yesterday. But we're going to be using the torque screwdriver amongst obviously all other tools, but I will show you that as we're getting into it. So, cheers. Right, so I've killed the power from the main fuse coming in. So what I'm going about now is I'm going to start taking the covers off. I've isolated them off before the power. You went one down each circuit, so you know, to isolate them all off. So we're going to take the cover off. We're going to mark all the cables up. Take this one off. Mark all the cables up. I find that when marking the cables, that a biro works out to be best. I've tried Sharpies and it seems to rub off for some reason. So always use biro, obviously to verify that, make sure there's no power coming through. Once the board covers are off, we'll be using this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set you up in time lapse while I strip these boards out, and then we'll jump back in as soon as we've got them all out. Okay, cool. Right, that's all. As you've seen, all the cables are back out of these boards now. They're all labelled up. I'm going to be a bit honest here. I couldn't find my masking tape. I normally use a little bit of masking tape when it comes to the lighting, but I couldn't find it, so I had to use the label maker. But you know, yeah, it's not the most cost-effective way of doing it, but whatever. So what I'm going to do is our new board that's going to go on. So I'm going to raise it up slightly to around that level. Do the knockouts on the board. So I'm going to use that one and that one. Also, we're going to be fitting a whisker stuffing gland for the meter tails because they're going to be replaced. They're only 16mm, so we're going to upgrade those anyway. Bring them in and mount that through the bottom. So yeah, so I'll cut this off. I'll get the board mounted. and then I'll start getting the RCBOs in. Right, bit of a change of plan. I was going to use the whiskers stuffing gland for these meter tails, but like I say, plans change. So I've decided I don't want to, because yes, that will get me to there, but I don't really want to see these. So what I'm going to do is going to put a bit of trunking to get rid of that. On the edge in here, I've got the edging strip, but oh, it just drives me mad because you only have to look at it and it comes off. I have used some mitre bond and I've bonded that down a bit, but you have to just be really careful as you're bringing the cables through that doesn't come off. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to set you up on time lapse. I'm going to install these RCBOs. I'm going to dress all the neutrals in, use some ferrules, shorten them all up, make it nice and neat. So yeah, so I better get stuck into it. Right, what I've done now is, ideally, if these were a bit longer, I can dress them slightly different, but I'm going with it now. One of the other guys on YouTube, Jordan from Nuneaton Electrician, based out in Cambridge, I believe it is. He put a video up recently about somebody who said, oh, I can change a consumer unit in an hour, and he tried it, you know, and I thought, there's no way you can be able to do that. And even you should go and check his channel out. It's brilliant, to be fair. He is really informative. It's a good channel. And like even he said, you can't. It's impossible to do it in that time. I mean, to do a job well and take a bit of pride in your work, it's impossible. I dread to think what it'd be like for somebody who could do one of these in an hour. It just must be. They must force the lid on for a start. But yeah, it's just food for thought, really. But yeah, so shout out to you, Jordan, on that. Right, I'm going to carry on. Next time you'll see this, it'll all be in and ready to go. So it's supposed to be the hottest day of the year as well today, so I'm conscious of getting some power on for these fridges. So I better get cracking. Right, you may notice, no, I've not had a costume change. On Friday, there was basically, it's a bit of a nightmare, really. It was red hot. So this is where we're at with the board, okay? Now, there was numerous faults that was listed. Well, we didn't, to be fair, I knew some of them, but didn't quite realise how annoying they were. So there was a couple that we couldn't wire back in, and so we got into fault finding. A lot of tracing. Normally on fault finding, there's probably a couple of little bits. You know, take a few socket fronts off, and you'll come across, you know, a cable touching CPC, something like that. Oh no, not here. Not in this house. It was major fault finding in the end, and I think it was 8:30 on a Friday night when I actually finished. I've located the cable. There is a CPC to neutral fault on there. There's nothing I can do about it. That is completely, that's it, it's ruined. So it's got to go. So anyway, the plan was I got to replace that cable. So in the interim, I had to change that RCBO for an MCB to get them going, because there's sensitive stuff that needs to have power on all the time. So it was literally like it was when I first came here, obviously, but with the older board on. So the plan was for today, come back, renew that cable, and fix these other issues that they've got on here. But because of COVID getting worse, situations getting worse and things like that, that the clients have basically, we've had a good chat about it this morning, and they are classed as vulnerable. So we've came up with a new plan, really, that we are, all the other circuits, I've fixed the other ones, so they're all done now, so they're okay. But that one, I can't do it. So I've got to leave that as it is for now. It is rebooked to have that circuit repaired. So like I say, I'd rather be honest with everyone and just say, look, you know, this is what's happened. So this is what's literally happened. There was no CPC followed through in downlights, classic, someone just hashing them in. They're fixed now. I've just got to go and do the local isolation. There's also the supply for the conservatory's faulty as well. So that's another job for me and Kian this afternoon to do. So yeah, it's been incredibly stressful. And these are original faults from day one when they were first installed. So here we are. So this is where we're at right now. So board's all in. We've got the cover ready to go back on up here. So that's what we're at. That is the plan. We've also found that there was a shared neutral or burrowed neutral, whichever way you want to look at it, on one of the lighting circuits, which we've now rectified. That was a pain in the bum, but we've done and dusted that one. So yeah, so like I say, this is where we're at right now. So yeah, so like I say, I'll get onto those. We've got a little bit of armour to power up the conservatory to do. But yeah, so just in case anybody wondered why is that one different, that is so everybody now knows, because like I say, they've you know, it's understandable. They said, I just can't have all the floors up, and you know, the situation has got worse. So yeah, here it is. So yeah, just want a bit of honesty on the old channel, so there you go. Right, that's the end of this job. This is obviously part 2 of the consumer unit change. So it's all labelled up now, as you can see, right on through. So, like I say, I've labelled it up because there's an insulation resistance fault on circuit 5, which I've explained earlier on. That needs obviously further investigation. So we've labelled up for the aircon supply down there. We've also done fitted the rotary isolator, which for the local isolation for the aircon switch, which is right round the house, the far side. When I come back, there's some other bits and bobs that are going to be done as well. New conservatory supply, because it's spurred off spurs off spurs off spurs, as they generally are. So yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed the video. Give us a thumbs up if you have, and leave your comments below. And yeah, thanks for watching. Cheers.